shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come.
Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
Here's today's prophecy update. Israel is scheduled to vote on its settlement bill yet today. This bill would immediately legalize 4,000 homes that are presently regarded as illegal. It would also be a direct confrontation with the United Nations that declared Israel's presence in the West Bank a flagrant violation of international law. What will the consequences of the pending vote be? We'll talk about it on today's edition of End of the Age. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those days when there is a huge development pending. They are voting in the Israeli Knesset. Even as I speak to you, I may be able to give you the result before the program is over today. I want you to understand what is really at stake here. The table was set for all of this on December the 23rd of last year, 2016, about 6 weeks or so ago now, when the United Nations voted on Resolution 2334, which stated that Israel's presence in the West Bank, in the settlements and also including East Jerusalem, it specifically says that in the resolution, is a flagrant violation of international law. So Israel annexed East Jerusalem, bringing the capital together, and declared undivided Jerusalem its eternal capital. Well, now the United Nations is directly challenging that, saying, no, you're in flagrant violation of international law. So as things sit today, Israel is violating UN law. Now, if the UN is going to be taken seriously, they have to enforce that law. How will they do that? Well, the Bible tells us how. Ultimately, they will invade Israel, but not now. It's at least 7 years away, maybe 8 or 9 years away. We don't know for sure the exact time, but at least 7. The Bible explicitly states that the armies of the world, all nations will come against Jerusalem to battle. That's only fulfilled by the United Nations, because you can't possibly get every national army on the earth inside of Israel. It's too small. But it's going to be a UN army representing all the nations of the world as a result of a UN resolution. Well, that UN resolution was passed on December the 23rd of 2016. Now we are having a reply, because now Israel is voting on a bill today. It's called the Settlement Bill. And this bill would enable them, if Israelis build on land and find out later that it belongs to a Palestinian or supposedly belongs to a Palestinian, they have the option of buying the land and not tearing down their homes. Now, Israel just tore down homes and displaced about 500 people within the last week or two, and it caused a lot of trauma in Israel. If this bill would have been enforced then, that wouldn't have happened. But because a Palestinian came along and presented documents to the Israeli Supreme Court that they owned the ground on which these homes had been built 20 years ago, by the way, then the Supreme Court ordered the tearing down of the homes. Well, if this bill passes, and it's being voted on as I speak to you right now, it provides for the homeowner to merely pay the person for the property as it was appraised at the time that they built on it, plus added 25% to it. Now, if that's the case, it would immediately affect 4,000 homes that are in question out in the West Bank area, which is biblical Judea and Samaria. And furthermore, what this would do, it would cause Israelis to lose their reluctance to build out there, because now they know if they hit a legal problem, they can just pay for the bare ground and they would continue to live there. This is going to result in a huge expansion of building out there in the occupied territories. That's what they're called. They're not really the occupied territories. Jordan occupied them in 1948, and then Israel drove Jordan out in 1967, but these are not occupied territories. All of this territory was assigned to the Jewish people by the Balfour Declaration in 1917. So even though the media is telling you a totally different story, that is the truth of the matter. Well, nevertheless, I want to make sure that all of us understand, because if in fact Israel passes this resolution, everybody's warning them, you're going to be in contravention of international law, and you never know what the UN's going to do to you. But everything's changed since January the 20th. Now Israel is acting with total confidence that if another resolution comes down the pike, that the Trump administration has their back, instead of stabbing them in the back like the Obama administration did on December the 23rd by abstaining and allowing the resolution to pass. The Obama administration was for the resolution. They were behind the formulation of the resolution. They actually had been talking about it for over a year. They planned to bring Israel under the control of the international community, because they believe in world government and they believe all the nations should be under the control of the international community. Well, Israel doesn't buy that. I don't buy it. I don't believe in world government. I don't believe in international law. I believe every nation should be sovereign. And once you get international law, you get world government. The Antichrist cannot be far behind, because the Bible explicitly prophesies that there's going to be a one world government, and we're watching it being formed right now. The process is called globalization. And we have a World Bank, a World Court, a World Trade Organization, a World Health Organization, and on and on and on and on we go, because they are fully planning a one world government right now. However, the United States is opting out, and Israel apparently wants to opt out. I have an article for you I would like for you to see the content of, so I want to go there right now. This particular article is entitled, "Amid UN Warning, Israel Set to Pass Historic Settlements Bill." And the lead line says, the legislation is set to retroactively legalize 4,000 settler homes on private Palestinian land and offers to compensate its land owners. Now, notice this. If this action is taken today, and it's being voted on right now in the Israeli Knesset over in Israel, if it's taken today, this will be in direct disobedience to Resolution 2334 that was passed on December the 23rd. So we're seeing a huge confrontation building now between Israel and the United Nations, and believe me, the U.S. will not be sitting this one out. This comes from the Jerusalem Post just today. The Knesset late Monday night is set to pass historic legislation. Now remember, they're 8 hours ahead of us, so it's right now, it's around 11 o'clock in the night, Israeli time, but they're having a late session because Benjamin Netanyahu is flying in from his meeting with Prime Minister May of Great Britain, and it's supposed to arrive just about right now. So they're in the session right now. I understand the voting has already begun. So in this historic legislation, hailed by the right wing for salvaging 4,000 settler homes, and attacked by the left as the first step toward de facto annexation. Now, let's pause just a moment, because we need to understand something. When the Oslo Accords were signed way back there in 1993, remember the picture of Yasser Arafat shaking hands with Yitzhak Rabin, with Bill Clinton in the back, bringing them all together. we thought there was going to be peace at that time. Well, at that time, what they did is they divided the West Bank area up into three groups: Group A, Group B, Group C. And phase by phase, Israel was supposed to transfer this over to the Palestinians, and it was supposed to be negotiated as they went. Well, they pretty well transferred over everything over Area A. As a matter of fact, the Palestinians pretty much rule themselves there. And in much of Area B, even though if they deem it necessary, the Israeli army can go in and do whatever they have to do if there's unrest or something else, a threat to their security. But Area C now, the last figures I heard, has about 300,000 Jewish people living there and about 50,000 Arabs living there. So a great deal of Israel wants to go ahead and annex Area C. Now that's what this particular comment was talking about, that this step, the next step, could very possibly be the annexation of Area C. Now lurking in the background is what's all this going to do to negotiation between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Some people say this is going to wreck the two-state deal. However, Donald Trump he's smart like a fox. And could he be letting this pressure build to set the stage for the negotiations that he wants to preside over to try to get a two-state solution? Now that Abbas is going to be given two choices, he may not like either one of them, but one of them is going to be a lot worse than the other. So if it's either lose all of Area C or retain most of Area C, if you're willing to make some compromises, which he has not been willing to do, everything has shifted. You see in Resolution 2334, it stated that Israel must recognize the 1967 borders unless the Palestinians agree to withdraw from those. Well, if the UN says, we believe that those borders belong to the Palestinians, why would the Palestinians withdraw? They wouldn't. So as long as the Palestinians sit in that kind of a favored situation, then all the cards are stacked in their favor. But now then something's shifting. Now remember, Benjamin Netanyahu is on his way to America in 9 days. He has a meeting scheduled with President Trump on the 15th of this month. All this is being done right before. So do you see the way the wind is blowing here? We're dealing with a businessman who has been through thousands of negotiations. He considers he considers himself the best negotiator on the planet. He wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. Well, now he says that a deal between Israelis and Palestinians would be the biggest deal ever done. And he'd like to try his hand at it. Well, let's look at some more of the article. The vote is not expected to take place until at least 10:30 p.m. Israeli time, and I checked just before I came on the air, and the voting has begun. It's not completed yet. On Monday afternoon, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu affirmed that he would head to the Knesset, that's the Israeli parliament, for the vote on the settlements bill, immediately upon landing in Israel after meeting earlier in the day with British Prime Minister Theresa May. Yes, I plan to be there for the vote on the bill, Netanyahu told reporters in London as he dismissed speculation that he had wanted to torpedo the legislation. Just 1 day earlier, Netanyahu had said that he wanted to coordinate the bill's passage with U.S. President Donald Trump and his new administration, which led to speculation that he would not authorize the legislation until after his February 15th meeting with the president in Washington. Obviously, that vote's taking place right now, and the meeting's 9 days from now. So what's actually happening then? Well, the evidence is in now that Netanyahu has been talking to Donald Trump, I'm sure by way of telephone or through their ambassadors, and they are coordinating their moves together. Continuing on in the article, in London, the premier said he merely wanted to make sure that there would be no surprises between friends, a problem that plagued his relationship with previous U.S. President Barack Obama. I said I would act according to our national interest, and it is in our best interest not to surprise our friends, certainly not our very good friends. Friends do not surprise each other, Netanyahu said. So are you getting the picture? A total change in relationship between Israel and the United States from the Obama administration to the Trump administration. UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process, Nikolay Mladenov, urged Israel to refrain from approving the legislation. If adopted into law, it would have far-reaching legal consequences for Israel and greatly diminish the prospects for Arab-Israeli peace. The bill has been deemed unconstitutional by the Attorney General of Israel and is in contravention of international law. Okay, pause right there. You better be scared. You're violating international law. Why should Israel be scared? The UN just declared 6 weeks ago that they're in a big-time violation of international law. They got 850 people living across the 1967 borders, and they have annexed East Jerusalem, which Resolution 2334, just adopted by the UN, said is a urgent violation of international law. And so Israel is in violation of international law right now. If they're going to respect international law, they've got to withdraw from East Jerusalem and say, oh, we'll give East Jerusalem to the Palestinians. So when you say to them, you're violating international law, they say, yeah, what's new? Been doing that for a lot of years now. Now, the UN representative went on to say, I urge Israeli legislators to reconsider this move, he stressed. Israeli legislators advance the revised bill. Now, they've already voted on this once or twice, and it passed. So the odds are it's going to pass tonight. Earlier on Monday, Culture Minister Miri Regev warned that if the bill will be disqualified, her government will be justified in taking immediate steps to annex Judea, Samaria. Now, that's what many people think Israel should do, and that is what Israel should do, because it's all part of the promised land that Almighty God himself defined as belonging to Israel and said that they should never give it away. So Regev is saying, hey, if the courts strike this down, we'll just go ahead and annex the whole thing, and then the UN can pass all the resolutions they want to pass because we now have our trump card. We now have veto power at the UN Security Council. Regev went on to warn that if the court took that step, it would further inflame tensions. Opposition leader Isaac Herzog, he's the leader of the Zionist Union Party, formerly the Labor Party. Herzog reacted as well, saying that the bill was illegal and passing it would be a disaster for Israel. Zionist Union MK Zippy Livni noted that most factions in the coalition opposed the bill and called upon them to have courage to resist pressure from Bayit Yehudi to pass it. Bayit Yehudi is the party Israel, Our Home, led by Naphtali Bennett. Bennett says we should not give 1 inch of our promised land away, and he is right. I mean, if Israel had the faith to just obey the Bible, they would come out wonderful. If they just had the faith to disregard international law and say, wait, our Bible says this is our land, we cannot listen to you because there's someone above you. If they had the faith to do that, you say, oh, that would cause World War III. Well, it might not. But guess what? If it did cause World War III, God would fight for them and they would win. Because you never go wrong by doing what's right. And you never end up right by doing what's wrong. The Bible says, don't be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a person sows, that shall they also reap. So if you put right in this end of the tube, guess what's going to come out the other end? Right. If you put wrong in this end of the tube, wrong is going to come out the other end. It's like Trump deciding, will I move the embassy to Jerusalem or not? Well, what's the right thing to do in God's eyes? Move the embassy. God said, I'll put my name in Jerusalem. Why shouldn't the U.S. have its name there as well? It'd be a recognition of God's authority. You can't lose doing that. But now everybody's warning, don't you dare do that. You're going to cause World War III. Well, that's apparently what's happened to every one of our presidents since 1995, when the Congress passed the law that we had to move our embassy to Jerusalem, but gave the presidents an out. Well, if President Trump does not move our embassy to Jerusalem, and if they do not get a deal between now and June, then he's going to have to ask for a waiver. He's going to have to chicken out. I don't think he will. I may be wrong. I don't think he will. I think everything has shifted in the Middle East. And let me tell you, it's all related to the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. Let's finish our article. Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid said the only reason the bill was being advanced was that coalition MKs realized that Netanyahu has been weakened as a result of the ongoing criminal investigations against him. And so they saw that now would be a good time to pressure him. The legislation is set to retroactively legalize 4,000 settler homes on private Palestinian land and offers to compensate its landowners. It's a move that runs counter to almost 40 years of Israeli judicial rulings against the construction of homes on private Palestinian property. It would also mark the first time that the Knesset has legislated for the area C of the West Bank, which is under Israeli military and civilian rule. That territory is considered to be outside the Knesset's purview, and a legislation act concerning it could be viewed as a de facto step toward annexation. Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit has warned that the legislation is unconstitutional and would not withstand any legal challenges. Left-wing opponents also raised concern that it would sway the International Criminal Court to rule on the issue of the West Bank settlements. Okay, so if the International Criminal Court would rule on the settlements and would hold Netanyahu and his government responsible for it, that means all of them would be liable to arrest and to be placed on trial before the International Criminal Court. Is Israel going to allow that? Is the United States going to allow that? So what can the UN do if Israel passes the settlement bill? Well, as far as any resolution being passed at the UN, they can't do anything. And I don't think they would dare do anything. We have come to a very interesting juncture right now. Now, all of this is directly related to Bible prophecy. And by the way, we're going to start taking your phone calls right away. All of this directly relates to the fulfillment of the prophecies of the Bible, because the Bible has much to say about Jerusalem. If you'd like to read God's attitude toward Jerusalem, go to Zechariah chapter number 12. It states there that all people who burden themselves with Jerusalem will be cut to pieces. You mess with Jerusalem, the place where God said, I will put my name there, then the Bible says he'll cut you to pieces. I would not be one of the nations that voted for the resolution, or one of the leaders at least. I mean, for example, President Obama and John Kerry, they voted for the resolution. Well, they abstained, but that was voting for it because they had the power to kill it. So they approved it. I wouldn't be in their shoes for $10 million. All people that burden themselves with Jerusalem will be cut to pieces. Now, I'm not making any personal threats. I wouldn't lift my finger against anyone. I'm just simply telling you that all these people messing with Jerusalem, and the world community is going to end up coming down against Jerusalem at the time of the Battle of Armageddon. I haven't said a lot about it, but I want to take time right now to remind you about our new series, From Here to Armageddon. It's 8 lessons. It outlines for you what's going to happen. You'll see it crystal clear on a timeline. If you'd like to own your own copy of From Here to Armageddon, give us a call. 8 lessons on DVD. I think you'll really be excited and really enjoy it. The number to call is 1-800-Endtime. In the meantime, we are right now in our drive to send an Endtime magazine to every single U.S. senator, every single congressman, every single representative, the president, the vice president, all the cabinet members, all the key influencers in our society. We want every single one of them to get an Endtime magazine. And we ask you to help us to make that happen. Now, we've already topped out the entire nation of Texas. Let me see if I can give you an accurate description of where we are right now. Texas, all paid for. Someone called in and said, I'm paying for the whole thing, which was wonderful. Colorado, all paid for. The rest of the states, we've got a long ways to go. So why don't you call in, and if you can't do your whole state, that's okay. Do what you can. Maybe you'd like to do $29 for the governor, or maybe you'd like to do for one of your senators or one of your congressmen, or maybe you have someone else that you would like to pay for. Whatever you would like to do, let's do this. The next edition of Endtime magazine is tailor-made for these people. The cover story will be First Step to Armageddon, December 23, 2016. All of our leaders need to know. So if you want to help us, call right now. The number to call, 1-800-Endtime. That's 1-800-363-8463. Or go to endtime.com. We're making good progress. We got a ways to go. And oh, by the way, if you want to be on the air with me during our next half of the program, that number's 877-Endtime.
From Here to Armageddon, a new exciting 8-lesson series to share with your friends and family. Order yours right away.
Answering many questions like, how far are we from the Battle of Armageddon? What will happen between now and then? Where are we on the timeline? Your questions answered in this exciting 8-lesson series, From Here to Armageddon.
Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-Endtime. That's 1-800-Endtime, 1-800-363-8463. Order yours right away.
Most people have dreamed of someday walking on the ground where Jesus walked over 2,000 years ago. You don't want to wait any longer. Make this the year for your life-changing experience. Judy and I would like to invite you to join us for our 2017 Spring Endtime Prophecy Tour. This is a 14-day trip to Israel and Rome. Please join us to experience the greatest place on earth, the Promised Land, with an added bonus, Rome, Italy. Start making your plans right now and join us April 30th through May 13th of 2017. We're going to have a wonderful time.
Call now to reserve your place today at 1-800-Endtime. That's 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archives button.
Well, do you believe that our lawmakers, our governmental leaders need to have spiritual input, biblical input into their decisions? That's the reason we're sending an Endtime magazine to every one of their mailboxes. In order to do that, the total cost for the next 2 years will be $25,000. Just since kicking off on Friday, we've already raised $2,407. So we're making good progress. We're 10% there. Let's just wipe it out this week if we can. Anyway, if you'd like to call in about your state to make sure your lawmakers are reading Endtime magazine, then give us a call right now. The number to call is 1-800-Endtime. Also, if you'd like to subscribe for a particular cabinet member, Donald Trump has already been paid for. Someone jumped the gun really fast on that one. But all the other cabinet members, they need their subscriptions to be paid for. If you'd like to pay for one or more of those, please do that right away. I'm so excited about this to know in the magazine that they will receive their first copy of, it's devoted to First Step to Armageddon, December 23rd, 2016. It explains in there. Now, already our lawmakers did not approve of the action of Barack Obama on December the 23rd. They took a vote, and it was overwhelming, something like 350 to 46 or something like that, disapproving of what the United States did. So that was not really a U.S. vote, only in the light of the fact that America voted Barack Obama in, and then he did it. So we do bear responsibility. Everyone who voted for Barack Obama bears some responsibility, but many people who voted for him didn't believe he would do that. But his true colors came out after he didn't have any more elections to win. Once the election was over, he said, now's my chance to do what I've been wanting to do. And so consequently, it was not a good thing, but we got a chance to reverse it now and to make up for it. And the vote that's taking place today could well do just that. Now, we are taking your calls today on the program. So if you would like to be on the air, the number to call is 877-END-TIME. And I do have an inquiry coming in from Facebook. Vera has sent a message on Facebook asking, will there be countries that won't be a part of the one world government? The answer to that is yes. The Bible specifically says that Jordan will not be a part of the one world government. That's Daniel chapter 11, verse 41. It says the children of Edom, Moab, and Ammon shall escape out of his hand. The children of Edom is southern Jordan, the area called Petra. The Moab Mountains are in central Jordan. They're still called the Moab Mountains today. And the capital of Jordan is Amman. So the children of Edom, Moab, and Ammon shall escape. The Bible specifically says Jordan is not going to be a part of the reign of the Antichrist. And King Abdullah II of Jordan was just visiting President Trump last week. So we already have a good relationship with Jordan. Now the Bible also says that Israel is not going to come under the power of the Antichrist. Now the area that's going to end up becoming a Palestinian state, that will come under the power of the Antichrist. But Israel proper is not going to be under the power of the Antichrist. And the Bible explicitly states that America is going to guard Israel against the Antichrist. We have a DVD called America's God-Given Destiny. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. Now this is so special, we've done something with it we've never done before. We put it up so that anybody who makes a donation of any size, when you hit that donate button and enter your information, you will get your password to download America's God-Given Destiny. Let me tell you, you want to do that, because not only do we show you where the United States of America is in the Bible, don't believe anybody that tells you it's not there. It is there. So consequently, whatever you do, we ask you to go to our website, endtime.com, click on the donate button, enter your donation, whatever size it is, whatever you feel like God lays on your heart, and you're going to get, as a response, our gift is to be able to watch America's God-Given Destiny. Not only does it tell you where America is in the Bible, but it's also going to tell you what America is going to do in the future, all the way up through the Great Tribulation period. So I love that lesson. We just taught it Saturday night up in Minnesota, and everybody loved the lesson because it opens up whole new hope to all of us who live here in the United States of America. Hey, great news coming in. Just had someone call and paid for the entire state of Louisiana. So that's 9 subscriptions done. Whoever did that, listen, thank you so much. All of you, whatever you've done, We appreciate it so very much. And if you can afford to, call in and pay for your state. Let's knock this thing out. Because let me tell you, it's not time for God's people to be silent. It's time for us, if we see something, say something. Well, we see a lot, and so we're saying a lot. Anyway, if you'd like to participate to help your state for either one of your lawmakers, 5 of them, all of them, whatever God lays on your heart or whatever you can afford to do, call us right now. The number is 1-800-Endtime. I am so excited that every one of our lawmakers here in America on the federal level, they are going to be receiving Endtime magazine for the next 2 years. And we're going to do our very best to put the right articles in there to be a blessing to them and also to be a guide to them, a biblical guide to them. So that's what we're doing right now. And we are really excited. And all of you, thank you very much for what you are doing. So if you haven't dialed up yet, do it. If you possibly can, we'd appreciate it so very much. Okay, we are taking your calls today. The number to call is 877-Endtime to be on the air with me. While I'm waiting for your calls, and we do have open lines, by the way, right now, let me tell you what's going on a little bit further on the relationship between the United States and Israel. This particular article also appeared in the Jerusalem Post today, and it's entitled, Trump's UN Envoy, Israel Will Never Again Question U.S. Support. Does that sound good? It sounds wonderful to me. Here's what it says. The new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, attempted to underscore the Trump administration's position on ties with Israel during a weekend meeting with Jerusalem's envoy to the UN, Danny Danon. Haley also referred to the new Washington government's apparent shift from the strained ties between the Israeli government and the previous White House administration of Barack Obama. Never again will our allies question our support, she said, pointing at the U.S. alliance with Israel. And then she also said in a tweet, great meeting with Ambassador Danon of Israel to discuss our strong relationship. Never again will our allies question our support. Haley's meeting with Danon over the weekend came ahead of the first meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, scheduled for February the 15th in Washington. Obviously, our UN ambassadors meeting with their UN ambassador to talk, to prepare the way, and to lay the groundwork for the meeting between Trump and Netanyahu. Trump is reportedly planning to discuss the peace process in his meeting with Netanyahu. Okay, let's go now to the phones again. I'll finish the article a little bit. Let's go to Illinois. Kyle is calling from Illinois. Hello, Kyle. Kyle, you're on the air.
Yes, I got a question. Can you talk a little bit about, I don't know if you have already, I just came on the air, started listening, but my question is, can you talk a little bit about the Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, and the book of Obadiah? Is that going to be connected with the sixth trumpet war?
I cannot tell you for sure about Psalm 83. I've read that over and over, and I've read all the articles written about it, and so far I've not been able to really nail it down to my satisfaction as to exactly whether that has already happened or whether it is yet to come. I do want to tell you, though, concerning the sixth trumpet war, there is movement, because the Bible says this war will emanate from the Euphrates River. I don't know whether any of you caught it out there or not, but we just moved a major battleship into the Persian Gulf within the last 4 or 5 days, because tensions are building there. One of our Navy SEALs were killed there in a secret operation into Yemen. Now, the reason we're in Yemen is because Iran is trying to take over Yemen so that she will control the Gulf of Aden, which is where one of the straits is, where about 20% of the world's oil goes through every day. Another 20% goes through the Gulf of Aden. I said that wrong. The Straits of Hormuz over by Iran. Iran wants to control both of those choke points because over 40% of the world's oil goes through those two choke points every day. Consequently, they're moving down to take possession of Yemen. Well, we apparently have decided we're going to fight that, and we lost a Navy SEAL. As a matter of fact, President Trump and his daughter Ivanka actually went to the memorial ceremony. They did it quietly, but Trump was going there to let people know, I don't send our soldiers into harm's way lightly. He personally went to the memorial service. But nevertheless, that just happened within the last week or so. Well, all of this is adding to tensions. We're determined that we are not going to allow Iran to continue to be the number one exporter of terror, and they are in the world. They support Hezbollah, they support the Houthis in Iran, they support many of the different terrorist organizations against Israel, and they continually like to say Israel's going to be wiped off the map, and they say death to Israel, death to the United States. Well, Trump is not taking that lightly. Consequently, the tensions are building. They certainly could blow up into the Sixth Trumpet War. That's the up-to-date information. And of course, I would remind you that as I'm on this air right now, that Russia and the United States have made an agreement back in December of 2015, over a year ago now, that Russia would fight ISIS on the west side of the Euphrates River. The U.S. would fight ISIS on the east side. Now, neither of us are putting boots on the ground, or at least very few. But we're allowing Iran and Iraq to provide the foot soldiers while we provide the air power. But here's the point. Between Russia and the United States, we control 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. The two leading nuclear powers are bombing up and down the Euphrates River right now. Right now. And the Bible says that's where this war is going to emanate from. Consequently, we may already be in the war, but it hasn't blown up like it will, because the Bible teaches that when the war blows up in all of its fury, that there's going to end up being 1/3 of mankind killed. So we may already be in that right now. Cannot tell you that for sure, but nevertheless, the situation is dangerous. We all need to keep our eye on it.
Do you also know where it talks about it'll take 7 months to bury the bodies, and they'll have to wear special clothing and put a marker up along every body they find until they can dispose of it properly? You know where that is?
Yeah, that's in Ezekiel chapter number 39, and that happens after the Battle of Armageddon. Ezekiel 38 describes the Battle of Armageddon, and after the Battle of Armageddon, they will burn the implements of war for 7 years, and it'll take 7 months to bury the dead. It is going to be a real bloodbath. That's Ezekiel chapter 39. Colleague, I'll let you go. I'm up against the break, and you're listening to End of the Age. We'll be back in just a moment.
Have you ever thought, I want to make a difference in the political world by sharing what I've learned about Bible prophecy from Endtime Ministries? But where do I begin? How can I make an impact? You can make a difference today. Endtime Ministries is ready to share the truth with all of our lawmakers on how current news relates to Bible prophecy and how it's all happening right now in our lifetime. We are asking each of our readers, listeners, and partners to donate $29 or more to sponsor a 2-year magazine subscription per lawmaker or leader in this country. With your help, we can spread the end-time message all across America. Partner with us today by donating just $29 or more, and that will go towards this world-changing cause. Our country will be glad you did. Call today at 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com and donate to our Lawmakers magazine subscription. You can be a part of America's change today.
Okay, breaking news. Israel just passed the settlement bill. The vote was 60 to 52. Apparently 8 people did not choose to vote. So we are in all new territory. Let me give you a little bit. Now, this just happened. So let me give you a little bit of the news right now. The Knesset late Monday night passed historic legislation hailed by the right for legalizing some 4,000 settler homes, and attacked by the left as the first step toward de facto annexation. Its passage by a vote of 60 to 52 marks the first time that the Knesset has sought to impose Israeli law in Area C of the West Bank, which is under Israeli military and civilian rule. That territory is considered to be outside the Knesset's purview, and such an action could be viewed as an initial application of sovereignty. After the vote, M.K. Smotrich, one of the initiators of the bill, addressed the plenum and praised its passage. This is a historic day for the settlements and for the state of Israel. On this day, the state of Israel determined that the development and promotion of the settlement in Judea and Samaria is in the Israeli interest. From now on, we will continue to apply our sovereignty and build settlements all over the land. Wow. I mean, what God's saying, when I bring you to the land I promised your father Abraham, you're to occupy the land, you're to build the land. Well, that's what these people are thinking right now. Our determination paid off. A jubilant Bayit Yehuda party head, Naftali Bennett, said as he thanked Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Likud party for supporting the bill. Now, Netanyahu supported the bill. Apparently, he either got the green light from Donald Trump, or else at least he got a wink or something. Anyway, he himself voted for the bill. So to our friends in the opposition who are surprised that a nationalist government would pass a bill in favor of the settlements, that's democracy, he added. Ahead of the voting, opposition leader M.K. Isaac Herzog called on the coalition to halt the vote, claiming that its consequences will harm Israel. This vote is not about whether we are with or against the settlers. It's about what the state of Israel needs, he said. This government is passing a bill that is an acute danger to the state of Israel. He continued, never in the history of Israel has the Knesset passed a bill against state laws and against the senior legal advisors of the government. Now, what this really is, this is Joshua and Caleb against the 10 spies who were afraid. That's really what this is. And this time it looks like Joshua and Caleb have won this particular vote. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you fully appreciate what has just happened during the last few minutes, because this is another huge development in the confrontation between Israel and the world government, between Israel and the United Nations. That's what you're viewing right now. You are seeing that right now. Read the articles, Jerusalem Post, Israel National News. I'm sure the news is going to be full of it this afternoon. Well, it just happened. Wow, so interesting. Let's get back to the phones. Helen's calling from Canada. Hello, Helen.
Yes, how are you, Mr. Baxter?
Well, I'm a little excited right now.
Yes, I just heard what you just read. Yes, and my husband and I, we become excited when we hear you all the time. But you know what? Do you have a project to make all the churches, especially the UPCI churches, excited about your prophecies? Because, last year, our pastor, we convinced him to pass the 14 DVD Understanding the End Time, and this was passed every Friday night. There was a new session, and the 14 of them have been listened to a few members. But on the other side, I was wondering, people, they don't seem, if we talk about the prophecy, they don't seem to be excited or enjoying. And we don't want to be divisive in the church, so we just keep quiet. But they are the children of God, and the UPCI has more than any one of us. But do you have a project for to have all the churches, UPCI churches, get involved or get excited about the prophecy. Maybe just here, maybe everywhere else they are all, listening to your messages. And what do you think about that, Mr. Baxter?
Well, Helen, there are some churches that are and some are not. I do a prophecy conference somewhere almost every weekend. When we go to those churches and we speak on subjects and people have a chance to answer questions, all of a sudden, people who are not interested at all, they jump on the bandwagon because they're so excited. Now, there are several reasons why people are not excited. Many of them simply don't understand, and they don't really believe that anyone else understands. So consequently, they sort of put it off in a corner. That's something I won't worry about. The rapture's going to happen. I'm going to disappear anyway. Therefore, why should I be worried about that? They don't understand that 30% of the Bible is prophecy, and most of those prophecies are for now. And Almighty God Himself put those prophecies in there for us. Jesus said, I tell you these things before they come to pass, so that when they do come to pass, you might believe. The power of prophecy is the power to produce faith. When we see things prophesied 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, coming to pass on our headlines like today, when we see that, I'm telling you, it just totally galvanizes me, supercharges me, because I realize that we are living in the culmination of the church age right now, and we're nearing the second coming of Jesus Christ to this earth. And furthermore, it also motivates me to win people to Jesus Christ like never before. The Bible says, work all its day, for the night comes when no man can work. So a lot of people, they don't understand themselves. They don't want to get involved because they don't want to show their lack of understanding. And so they just sort of ignore it and, sort of wish it would go away. However, you did a wonderful thing by getting the 14 DVDs to your church at least, so that the people who did want it can view them, and then they will talk to others, and they will talk to others. And it starts sometimes small, but then it spreads until it becomes huge. And that's what we have to do.
Okay, thank you very much. But, we listen to you almost every day, and I bought, we ordered your Endtime University there, and I finished the course with the Jerusalem Prophecy College, and, I just eat everything that I can, and I feel, and I'm so excited, and I feel so bad that I cannot share my excitement, with the people in the church. There is one lady I can share with her, and she understands the same thing, and she's the only one up to now. And I feel bad, and I was wondering maybe when the agreement will be signed, maybe when it will be or if when the temple will be built, maybe that will help people to understand that it is now.
Well, Helen,
they won't be raptured.
Helen, when the agreement is signed that starts the final 7 years, we're going to be on a blitz like you've never seen before. We're going to try to blitz the whole world.
Yes.
And also, then when the temple starts being built, we'll be explaining to everyone that we're inside the final 7 years and what it all means, and we're hoping it will spread like wildfire, and I do believe it will. Now, will it reach everyone? No. There's some people will never be stirred because they close their eyes. They don't want to be moved out of their comfort zone, so they just sort of close their eyes and say, well, I don't believe it that way, which they think that gives them an excuse. Well, that's up to them and God. But as far as many of us, I do believe that there's a great revival just ahead, a great awakening that will be triggered by the fulfillment of the prophecies of the Bible. And I do believe that that's happening already right now, but it will escalate.
Have you found all the 1,000 people that you need to knock at all the doors in, I think, in West Bank or in Israel?
Well, we haven't really started driving toward that yet, because we won't do that until about 3 years after they sign the peace agreement. We want to do it about 6 months before we know the crunch is really going to come down on the people who live in Judea. So we haven't really started driving, but in case none of you know what Helen's talking about, we're planning on not only mailing the magazine to every home out in Judea, the area of Judea that will be under Palestinian rule as a result of the peace agreement that's coming. We want to knock every one of their homes to let them know that a horrible Holocaust is coming to them and they need to get out of there. So we're going to actually take 1,000 people to Israel. And if you'd like to be one of those to help us, then start saving your money. And we'll be telling you more about that as the time approaches. We know it's at least 3-4 years away, and it might be, could be 5 years away, or we don't know exactly. Once the final 7 years begins, we'll know exactly. So we will be putting that together, Helen. That's going to be another incredibly exciting experience. Hey, I got to let you go, Helen. Thank you very much for your phone call. Appreciate it so very much from up in Canada. Keep up the good work up there. And then from Facebook, Vera, once again, is asking, is this bill passed by Israel a part of Bible prophecy? Well, it's certainly going to affect it because this bill affects the settlements, and that's one of all of the three main things that will have to be negotiated to get a peace deal. One is settlements, two is the status of Jerusalem, three is the status of the Temple Mount. So it has everything to do with the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. These actions, if the Palestinians see their possibility of having a state out there slipping away, I can just see Donald Trump look at them and say, well, we offer you an agreement, but if you don't take it, they're going to be building. So what are you going to do? I can already see that coming. And I don't mean years from now. I sort of expect it to happen between now and June. I think he's going to try to get a deal done by June, because if you haven't noticed, Trump doesn't believe in moving slow. He's like he's like a charging rhinoceros. He's coming through. So anyway, I expect this to happen pretty quickly. It's going to be very interesting, and it will pertain to Bible prophecy. Okay, let me tell you once again, maybe you just joined us. We are planning on sending an Endtime magazine to every U.S. senator, every U.S. representative, to the president, the vice president, all of his cabinet, plus key influencers like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Megyn Kelly, Bill O'Reilly, Sarah Palin, Hillary Clinton, and many, many others. We want to send them a complimentary subscription to Endtime magazine for the next 2 years, and we need your help with that. If you would like to provide that for any of them or all of them from your state, we've already had 3 states completed. Louisiana's done, Texas is done, Colorado's done, and maybe some more will be done by the time I get to the phones right now. Anyway, if you'd like to help, $29 for one, and any multiple thereof for however many you want to do. The number to call, 1-800-ENDTIME, or go to endtime.com. God bless you.
End of the Age is a production of Endtime Ministries. This broadcast will be available on our website, endtime.com, in the archives section. On our website, you'll also find more information about how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. To reach our operators, call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. Endtime Ministries is partner supported. We would like to say thank you to our partners who made this broadcast possible. To do what Matthew 24:14 said, to reach the world with the gospel of the kingdom.